Okay, good afternoon, everyone. Welcome to Stock Market Today. My name is Ken Shreve, joined by Ed Carson. We'll take a look at a mixed session for the market. Blue chips under a lot of selling pressure today. Dow Jones leading the downside. Looks like the Nasdaq was able to eke out a very, very tiny gain. But before we get to the broad market, let's swing over to Ed Carson, who's got, as usual, three stocks to watch today.
Yeah, good afternoon, Ken. We're going to take a look at Apple and PayPal, a couple of big cap techs that helped the Nasdaq stay positive, but also DocuSign, which did not have a good follow through today.
Yeah, tough showing for DocuSign after reporting earnings on late last week. But why don't we start by taking a look at the major stock indexes, and I guess we can start by taking a look at the Nasdaq Composite, which you can see it looks like it edged into new high ground today again. By the close, it ended with a gain of less than 0.1%. But Ed, you've got the Nasdaq above the 15,000 level. It's been kind of hitting new highs, but there just doesn't seem to be a whole lot of volume. Is this an example of a index that is kind of wedging higher in light volume? Are there reasons to be concerned here, or do we just go with the flow for now?
It's hard to say. I've been sort of taking a go with the flow approach, partly because it's late summer, it's right after Labor Day. So maybe that's just it. Volume has been sort of depressed for several weeks. So it's not like it's just been on the upside. Right. That it's been weak. So if it were one-sided like that, that would be a little bit more disturbing. For now, I'm going to go with the flow, but it's something to keep aware of, that we've had a nice run and not much volume.
Yeah, we still have a very light distribution day count for the Nasdaq and the S&P 500. You can monitor the distribution day count every day in the big picture column. Let's take a look at where the selling was focused the most today in the Dow Jones Industrial Average. That index ended with a loss of about 0.8%. And what we have here is coming pretty close to a test of that key 50-day moving average.
Yeah, it was not particularly good action. Obviously, the Dow hasn't been hitting new highs. I mean, it's not that far from record highs. I mean, one or two good days, and this is in record high territory. But we saw industrials have trouble. We saw, some, financials didn't really go anywhere despite strong yields. Energy stocks had trouble. A lot of real economy names just had a tough time. You combine COVID fears with rising yields, and it was not a good day for a lot of sectors outside of that few narrow winners today.
Yeah, it looks like the 10-year yield had backed off highs for a little while. It looks like it ended up about 5 basis points thereabouts to 1.37%. But yeah, you mentioned the financials really didn't move a whole lot on rising interest rates today.
That's right.
Okay, and let's wrap up. We also saw selling in the Russell 2000 IWM. At last check, that was down about 0.6%, 0.7% for the session. Also, the S&P 500, not as much selling in the Dow, but the S&P 500 was down about 0.3% today. And there's a look at the S&P 500, still, just sitting just right above its 10-day moving average. All right, well, let's take a look at some individual stocks today. I know the first one we're going to talk about is Apple, which hit another new high today. Volume rose quite a bit from Friday's level here.
Yeah, nice action, above average. It's been a nice little move here. You can see the relative strength line, while not at a new high. It's definitely a high for the consolidation. It's the highest in several months. Positive action. They announced an iPhone event didn't say iPhone event, but a product event in a week. But they're almost certainly going to unveil the latest iPhone and the latest Apple Watch. There was also some other news, is that it appears that their top Apple car executive, who used to be at Tesla, is now going to go to Ford, where he actually, Doug Field, where he actually worked decades ago, maybe to start out his career.
Yeah, interesting. Very strong move for Apple today, and it looks like for PayPal, it looks like that one is starting to come back from the dead. It kind of corrected pretty sharply. Looked like it was starting to live below its 50-day moving average. It's back above the 50-day line. Did we get some sort of early entry today for PayPal?
Yeah, it looks like you could find 3 excuses for buying this one if you wanted to. It's rebounding from the 50-day line. It's sort of clearing above the short-term level. You could probably draw a downtrend as well. So if you wanted to get in, this is an early entry. It's also a good place to go for a long-term leader like PayPal, which is basically has all the awards. It's a long-term leader. It's on leaderboard. It's on Swing Trader, and it was our stock of the day. So it was just nice action with above average volume.
Yeah, PayPal has been a long-term holding on leaderboard. In fact, we switched to the weekly chart here, and you can see when PayPal was added, not that far after we got pretty strong follow-through days for the S&P 500 and Nasdaq all the way back in April. But you can see that that move, yeah, right in that area there, a big breakout from a cup base. The gain hit 21% in less than 3 weeks. It's been a pretty easy hold. I mean, we just really have a long-term view on this stock, so we've got a nice profit cushion, and it really does help buying right. So this was one of several stocks that was added to leaderboard last year after we saw follow-through days for the like I said, Nasdaq and S&P 500. Okay, final stock today, another leaderboard stock. Disappointing action today after earnings late last week. DocuSign, taking a look at the daily chart here, you can see a bullish gain for the stock Friday after the company reported earnings late Thursday, but a lot of sellers in the stock today, Ed.
Yeah, this was really disappointing. I mean, we've seen this a lot with some of these software names that had early entries down, in this area. So, but then they've been choppy since they got to new highs, and it looked like, okay, now we're going to break out. Now we're really moving. Earnings are in the rear view mirror, and maybe now it can go on another run like it did after earnings last time. This was ugly, high volume, wiping out all the gain below the 50-day line. It's not necessarily an automatic sell signal, but it's be pretty discouraging. And I can understand if investors got out, especially if they bought, up closer toward the highs of the day on Friday.
Yeah, this we're actually doing our leaderboard webinar in about 20 minutes today, so I'm sure DocuSign will get some attention. But we initially started DocuSign when it gapped above its 200-day moving average when it reported earnings, and then we added to it right around where it closed today. So our ad was at around 290. So I think our average cost basis is a 260-ish, something like that. And so we'll see. We're probably going to check in with this stock at the end of the week. Hopefully, get some sort of recovery near the 50-day moving average. But for now, it's a half position on leaderboard. But yeah, disappointing price action today for sure. All right, Ed. Well, thank you for those three stocks. That'll do it for today. Mixed performance for the market. Selling in small caps, blue chips, and the S&P 500. Nasdaq Composite eked out a small gain, but we'll be back tomorrow, Justin and me, to go over Wednesday's market action. That'll do it for today. Ed, thanks again for the insight. We'll see you back here tomorrow just after 1 for the next Stock Market Today video. Have a great afternoon, everybody.